Shalom, welcome home to Jerusalem. I'd like to welcome the members of the International Council of Jewish Parliamentarians, all of you folks, and Lord Janner, thank you for the introduction. Amanda Weiss, the director of the Bible Lands Museum, thank you for hosting this forum. Amanda has a habit of inviting dear guests to this wonderful museum. Hopefully you enjoyed the museum and Jerusalem in general. With your permission, I'll start a few words about myself and then focus on Jerusalem. I'm a Jerusalemite practically all my life. I spent 6 years in the paratroopers. I was shot in Lebanon in 1980 at a raid, and then was a company commander in the first Lebanese war and then in the reserves. I spent 15 years in high-tech, doing business in the global marketplace. Thank God, I've done for my home, and my wife and I started doing philanthropy about 13 years ago. Through philanthropy, I got exposed to the challenges of the city of Jerusalem. And I found that we're talking about the biggest, largest city in the country, however, the poorest city in the country, with strong negative migration of the medium and high social economic groups that in turn feed poverty in the city of Jerusalem. And yet we talk about a city with huge potential, one of the strongest brands in the world, and we are not considered the most stupid people in the world, yet our capital, the most important asset of the Jewish people, has not and was not exploiting its full potential. And probably as an entrepreneur from the business community, I realized that we have to turn the city around. We have to exploit the potential. I retired over 8 years ago from all my business activities, ever since I work for a shekel a year, focusing on exploiting the potential of the city of Jerusalem. What I've done is worked with Professor Michael Porter from Harvard Business School in thinking through how to create some economic changes in the city of Jerusalem, and created a few models of how to exploit the potential of our city. And with your permission, I'd like to start with articulating where we're headed. Discussing our future, the first step is understanding our past. And I want to remind us all that when the people of Israel, the Jewish people, came from Egypt, came to Israel, to the land of Israel, the country was divided to tribes, except Jerusalem. Jerusalem, for over 1,000 years, was managed under the sovereignty of King David and the kings. However, was never divided into tribes. It was the fundamental foundation of modern democracy, if you would like, where people were different but the same. And Jerusalem, that power of not belonging to any tribe, worked for over 1,000 years. It worked great. Both Jews and non-Jews alike used to come and worship and pray, and had to come to Jerusalem at least once in their lifetime. That was the role of the city, the temple. And indeed, when you think about how that worked, and unfortunately it stopped working 2,000 years ago, it is a key to the future of the city of Jerusalem, understanding the role we played. So we set out a goal and a vision to make Jerusalem a destination for pilgrims throughout the world, as it did in the past, create an experience coming to Jerusalem second to nothing, through culture, through exploiting the great atmosphere and the holiness of our city, and look at culture and tourism as a business cluster, if you would like. And I've learned how other cities in the world, major cities in the world, created themselves more attractive. Paris, London, Rome, New York have over 40, sometimes 50 million tourists a year. Yet Jerusalem, with the brand that we have, probably the highest demand in the world. Over 3.5 billion people of faith throughout the world would like to come and visit Jerusalem at least once in their lifetime. It's a huge opportunity. And yet, just a few years ago, we had 2 and a change million tourists a year. I set an aggressive goal of getting to 10 million tourists a year. Last year, we did 3.5 million tourists a year. We've scaled 24% in our hotel occupancy just last year alone. And we've created some sub-brands. The first marathon was very successful this year. The Light Festival, and a few other festivals in the city of Jerusalem that take advantage of the physical location of the city of Jerusalem. The new opera that was here just a few months ago. And together we've created dynamics in the city of Jerusalem that create a strong demand, a good atmosphere. And through that atmosphere and strong demand, we've created Jerusalem to be very bullish for business. It has become more attractive for tourists. Therefore, the growth in tourism created Jerusalem more attractive for young businesses. And through some changes I've introduced to the municipality and the Jerusalem Development Authority, we're now creating Jerusalem much more attractive for the business community. And through that, we have economic growth, the first phases of economic growth, that then feeds and enables more and more people, young people, to stay in the city and turn the negative migration around. It takes time, it's not within a year, but we see first signs for growth on the business side and in culture and in education that we're invested heavily and creating Jerusalem to be more attractive. There's no doubt in my mind, now serving 2.5 years as mayor, that we can continue feeding and fueling the changes in the city of Jerusalem. We also have lots of catch-up to do in planning and then in fulfilling and executing our plans. I'll give you an example. Jerusalem is currently about 800,000 people strong, and we anticipate that the city will grow to be 1 million people strong within 20 to 25 years. The natural growth of the different sectors, the Jewish, the Muslim and the Christian sectors, will grow naturally. Therefore, we have to plan adding 50,000 new apartments in a methodological way to the city. Side by side, by scaling the more hotel industry, the more hotel rooms, we have 11,000 hotel rooms. We need to scale another 20,000 to reach the number we want to achieve. We have to add, our current plan is about 20 million square feet of office space to the city. We're going to grow or rise 13 35-story high-rise buildings in the entrance of the city. And we're going to add more business places. So when we look at the master plan of the city, like any other city that we all belong to, at your hometowns and your home countries, we have to create a plan and address those needs. Now, those needs are addressed by our master plan that talks about scaling or expanding current neighborhoods, Jewish neighborhoods, Arab neighborhoods, improving quality of life for all residents. The master plan that we talks about is an honest and fair plan that takes into consideration the needs of all the different sectors.